So, we're finally getting more storage with the Galaxy S23 Ultra coming out. Instead of 128 gigabytes, we're now getting 256 gigabytes. That's a good idea, but at the same time, it should have been the main storage. Because let me tell you this is actually the second time we actually had 256 gigabytes as the main storage, and things would have been better than what we actually got. So let's explain this. Back in 2019, sometime in March, the Galaxy S10 Plus has bumped its main storage up to 128 gigabytes. S8 and S9 Plus had 64 gigabytes as their main. As for the Note series, August 2018, the Note 9 was bumped to 128 gigabytes as the main. But in August 2019, we got the Galaxy Note 10 Plus. It was the first phone to ever bump its main storage to 256 gigabytes as their main. And also before we had the option to pay for the additional 1 terabyte storage. So it's either 256 or additional for 512 gigabytes. Seems pretty unreasonable for that phone. But I'm bringing this up because when 2019 ended, they took a step backwards. Instead of staying on it, they just went back to 128. And it brought in the disadvantage of it. In 2020, Samsung announced a 108 megapixel camera with 8K video recording. It's great that we actually had this feature, especially on a smartphone, but having storage space is much important to have for using that said feature. Since 2017, at the time when I was experimenting with some of my videos to put it in perfect quality, lots of people have been telling me that 4K takes up a lot of storage space. And it's ultimately true, and when it brings us to 8K, that itself takes up much more storage than 2K and 4K ever would. Around 2020 of August, the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, that phone doesn't even help at all. Like 128 gigabytes storage is their main, also is a scam by the way. Then 2021 came, and let's be honest, it was not so good. Second year for 8K camera recording on the Samsung phone, but still 128 gigabytes. And the max internal storage, that's 512 gigabytes. That was pathetic. Doesn't even have 1 terabyte to offer, and you have to spend more money for additional storage. And at the same time, you have no dedicated S Pen slot after the Note 9 was killed entirely to merge with it. And the SD card support was just taken out entirely. Something that was actually useful about this. When I talked to Samsung about this and calling it out, because it seemed like that Samsung was just doing things the Apple way and they're just copying what Apple. I get it, every company copies each other, but when I'm talking about Samsung copying Apple, they're just copying things the Apple way by removing tech. That's what I mean. Taking a step backwards, removing certain features for no reason. And even if they had a reason, it's still useless to the thought. Anyways, when I talked about this, people were saying things like the SD card was useless and there was no need for more. And I can confirm that itself is nowhere true. Because last time I checked, Samsung received backlash for it. Everyone, me included, uses SD cards for additional storage space. There is need for more storage, because storage can tend to run out quicker than you think. It can be anything that takes up your storage. Certain apps you use the most, video games, then your photos and videos, which brings us back to the camera. It can be exciting and beautiful to shoot in 8K. It's really perfect to do that. But when you're using that, you would have to prepare for additional storage. And the Galaxy S21 itself was a massive disadvantage. You can't get additional storage with an SD card. And I know there's going to be more people saying things like, why don't you get an SSD or get a USB-C drive, or just use cloud storage. Yeah, sure, that could work, but for daily use, that's a stupid idea. No one's going to plug those in their phones only for them to have them dangling out. If this was something like a PC, then it would be fine, but this is smartphones we're talking about. Not only that, but their Galaxy tablets have SD card support, even the latest one like the Galaxy Tab S8 Ultra. And also, cloud storage isn't better. Sometimes it would work, but that is 10%. 90% of the time it would just take forever to move or just give up. And sometimes it just likes to do what it wants. Plus, moving them directly to the cloud it would just kill the frame rate that what you originally had. I tried it so many times on a fast internet connection, like 25 times before, like a year ago. Like almost 2 years ago. It's almost 2023. And at the same time, you need to pay additional money for storage space in the cloud storage. And you're not paying once, it's all subscription based. It's either monthly or annually. It was also worse when you go for the highest and then you'll be forced to pay monthly at certain terms. SD cards are much beneficial, especially if you're moving things. And unlike cloud storage, the frame rate isn't screwed. Also, it was embarrassing to see that the phone's max internal storage is also 512, while the iPhone 13's max internal storage is 1TB. S22 Ultra model, they made an appearance with the 1TB model, but it wasn't around long enough, so we're pretty much back to 512 again. And it's good that Samsung is finally giving us 256GB, but it could have been better. It would have been like this for 3 years since the Note 10, a 2019 phone, had. And in addition, we possibly would have been getting up to 512 at this time or another year instead of being forced to pay more every time we upgrade with max internal storage. That was the advantage for SD card support gave us. You don't have to spend more money, and you can keep using it each time you upgrade in the next decade. They last up to 10 years. But unfortunately, we're just gonna have to deal with not using an SD card. And I'm just gonna keep being disappointed every time when they start removing useful features. Like whenever Apple removes something, Samsung does it days later, like the charger incident. Anyways, I'm just gonna leave it there for now. Have a good day and night, everyone.